Hey there, fellow pilgrim. Today, I'm going to share 10 Camino Frances tips that might be a little surprising. These tips will help you along your way on the Camino. I am so excited that you are embarking on this journey, and I want to share as much information about my experience so that I can be helpful to you. So please leave a comment if you have any questions. Oh, and be sure to watch all the way to the end for the last tip, which you might not have heard elsewhere. By the way, I'm Jen, and I walked the Camino Frances over 33 days, starting in Saint Jean and ending in Santiago de Compostela from August to September. On my channel, I talk about mindful travel that changes you, and the Camino was exactly that. All right, let's get into it. Okay, my first tip. Take video, not just photos. Even if you aren't making YouTube videos like I was, remember to take videos along with the photos. Even just a 5-second or 10-second clip can be so great to look back on later. So many times I'd see pilgrims taking so many photos on their cell phone, but with a video, you can record the sights, sounds, voices, so much of that rich experience with a video. You can even record yourself or take voice notes to record the things that happen each day as a way to create a journal. It can be kind of tiresome to pull out a pen and paper at the end of the day, so making a quick selfie video about what happened is a really effortless way to journal. Tip number 2, the ultimate portable meal, the avocado. An avocado is your best friend on the Camino. It's nutritious and it tastes delicious. It's also super transportable. A lot of people on the Camino talk about how it can be pretty hard to find fruit and vegetables on the Camino because in Spain, a lot of the cuisine is bread and meat heavy. So having an avocado is actually a great way to get more of that into your diet. If you pack a little bread with you too, you can easily make an avocado sandwich. Now, this does add a little bit of weight to your bag, but I think if you're just carrying an avocado for like 4 hours, it wouldn't be too much. I actually got this idea from a fellow pilgrim who I just watched her pull out an avocado and some bread and like put it together right then and there in the middle of the day. And I thought, wow, that's like a great way to save money and also get a little bit more greens into your diet. Avocados are a superfood, so I thought that this is just such a great tip. Tip number 3, get your shoes at least a half size bigger. So when you're walking for long distances, especially in high heat conditions, your feet are gonna swell. And that means you might be more prone to blisters because your feet are bigger. So definitely get at least a half size or a full size bigger. Also, buy your shoes at least a month beforehand and give it a few trial runs so you can test it out and see how they feel. That way, you have enough time to change your shoe before you leave for your Camino. Okay, tip number 4. Brush up on some Spanish and some French. Knowing the basics of some Spanish and also French if you're starting in Saint Jean can be really helpful along the Camino. I did actually meet a few people who didn't know any Spanish or any French, and they got along just fine. But in my opinion, I think it's really great to know at least a little bit of each language, especially Spanish, because of course the Camino Frances does go through the majority of Spain. Phrases like "Dónde está el camino" can be really helpful, which means where's the Camino? If you happen to get a little bit lost and can't find the yellow arrows, it'd be really great to ask a local that and they can point you in the right direction. So for me, studying Spanish has been a hobby of mine for about 3 years. So I was lucky I did know some Spanish beforehand, and I was actually able to improve my Spanish by walking with some Spanish speakers who were very patient with me. This experience was really special, a very multicultural experience that I really wouldn't have been able to have if I didn't know some Spanish. Knowing the language helped me form connections with not just English speakers, which helped me learn about other ways of life. But all in all, if you can just learn a couple phrases before you go, that really goes a long way. Next, tip number 5, have cash on hand. A lot of albergues, restaurants, stores really only take cash along the Camino, especially in the smaller villages. ATMs are not available in every town along the Camino, so you really do want to plan ahead and make sure to grab cash before heading to the next smaller village. In your pilgrim guidebook or on one of the apps, you can see which services are available in the city that you're going to. Is there an ATM there? Think about it, plan ahead, and make sure that you pull out cash if you're running low. I recommend having at least 50 or 60 euro on you at all times. You could carry about 100. That'll last you a little bit longer. Tip number 6, be smart about your water. Carrying too much water can weigh you down, but carrying too little can leave you dehydrated. So keep water in mind. Generally, it's a rule of thumb to carry at least 1.5 liters of water at all times. If it's a really hot day, if it's over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, you probably want to carry at least 2 liters of water. Pay attention to the water refill points and fill up if you aren't sure if there's going to be another fountain along the way soon. Find a balance and know the distance between the water refill points. Tip number 7, electrolytes are essential. I think it's a really good idea to add electrolyte packets to your water, especially when it's hot. It's really easy to get dehydrated on the Camino de Santiago because it's not like you're walking for 30 minutes in 100-degree heat. You're walking for 5 to 6 hours in 100-degree heat. Drinks like Aquarius, which they have all through Spain, are fantastic for replenishing your electrolytes. It's just like Gatorade. My friend, before I left, gave me some electrolyte packets from a company called Salud, and they have really great flavors like Jamaica and cucumber pepino. I loved those, and those really helped along the way. Tip number 8, donativo does not mean free. I learned this along the way. It means the people offering these services run on donations. If you are staying at the albergue or taking some of the offerings at the stand, it's a sign of respect, and you really should offer and give at least 2 to 20 euros, I would say. Pay what you can. Everyone's on a different budget, but it's a sign of respect. Tip number 9, don't rush. Enjoy the journey. When you walk the Camino, you learn that it's really more about the journey and less about getting to Santiago real fast. I would always try to stop and admire the flowers, smell all the smells, taste some of the blackberries, and really try to immerse myself in the present moment as much as I can. Just, of course, being mindful of the time of day and how much farther I had to walk that day. So many people on the Camino, you'll get this sense of being rushed, like you have to get to your albergue right away. But I found that really the magic of the Camino came out to me when I was able to stop and visit a little church along the way, or say hi to a person who was working a donativo nearby. So that's where the magic happens. All right, tip number 10, you made it to my last tip. My tip here is the Camino de Santiago is great for single people. Personally, I am in a relationship and I was not looking for anything on the Camino, but I heard stories from friends, and from what it sounds like, the Camino is a great way to meet someone. And this is true at any age. You're walking all day together, having great conversation, and honestly seeing each other at your worst moment when you're smelly, tired, not looking great, not wearing makeup, whatever. It's really a real experience. You see people at their realest. And along the way, I heard a lot of stories about people meeting together, falling in love, getting married, and opening albergues on the Camino de Santiago. However, that said, more often than not, I found that men and women had a lot of platonic relationships on the Camino. There's something about the Camino that people go for more of a spiritual experience with themselves. And that, you know, kind of allows for people to be very respectful. It's really an inward journey, and people are respectful of that. But if you are looking for love, you might encounter someone else who is too, and who knows where that might lead. All right, my friends, that's it for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Thank you for watching, and buen camino.